Is Sabrina Carpenter pandering to the male gaze? Let's talk about it. By the way, I'm KJ Miller. I am a founder, lecturer, and content creator. I love talking about all things pop culture, business, and beauty. If you like any of that, be sure to subscribe. Now let's get into it. Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock, you have almost certainly seen the current discourse dominating pop culture right now around Sabrina Carpenter and whether her new album cover, along with her new song and like music video imagery, if all of this in total is an indication that Sabrina Carpenter exists for the male gaze. She is a pick-me. She is setting us back. By us, I mean women, because she is overly focused on sexuality, and not just sexuality, but sexuality in a demeaning way. If we look at her album cover in particular, where she is on all fours, knelt down in front of a man who is grabbing her hair. I wouldn't call it violently, but, you know, somewhat aggressively, I guess. And all of this is just too much and anti-feminist and setting us back, so on and so forth, on and on. What are my thoughts on this? And more importantly, at least in my opinion, what are my thoughts on the music? Well, that's exactly what we're going to discuss. Let's start with number one. Is Sabrina Carpenter pandering to the male gaze? I'll tell you, I'm going to keep it just very honest with you. I think the answer is yes. I think she's pandering to the male gaze. I think she's also pandering to the female gaze. I think she's also pandering to the non-binary gaze. I think she's pandering to everybody's gaze because she knows we are gazing upon her. She's a famous, beautiful woman whose every move is scrutinized. And by the way, can we just be very, very honest? Can we be very honest for a second? If she was wearing a little bit of clothing, she would be sexualized and objectified. If she was wearing a lot of bit of clothing, she would be sexualized and objectified, because that is quite simply just what happens to women in the public eye, particularly classically beautiful, attractive women like Sabrina Carpenter. She's a very beautiful woman. She's blonde. She's got a cute little petite body. And I can guarantee you, no matter what she wore, somebody would be objectifying and sexualizing her. So yes, to me, this isn't that controversial of a question or an answer. Of course, she's pandering to the male gaze and the female gaze and every other gaze, because she knows she's going to be viewed and judged in public no matter what. I just don't know that I think it's all that interesting to say she exists for the male gaze. Okay, right? Like I think we all do in some way exist for the gaze of others. I know there are people who try to pretend that they're just like above all that. Good for you, right? But most of us are not above all that. Most of us, when we get dressed in the morning, when we do our hair, when we do our makeup, we are thinking about how we are going to be perceived by others. I think that's true for Sabrina as well. Now, what I do take issue with, or what I think I would push back on, is this idea that she's more focused on how men are viewing her than anyone else. I don't know that she's given us any reason to think that. Frankly, if you listen to her music, she spends a lot of time talking shit about men. So I would think if they are truly her number one core audience, if she was really trying to give pick me, she wouldn't spend so much time talking shit about them, which is what she does all the time. Did y'all listen to the album? I listened to the album. It was a lot of talking shit about men. This most recent song that she's released, Man Child, is a lot of talking shit about men. So to me, it does not seem as though men are her primary audience. Are they a part of her audience? Yes. Is she aware of the male gaze? Yes. Is she quote unquote pandering to it? Sure. Pandering to it? Sure. To the extent that I think she's pandering to just like an audience in general. And, you know, the way that I think all pop stars have to, but is her primary focus men? It just doesn't give that to me. It definitely gives, she's making fun of men. She is giving a critique of men and how men act. I mean, if you look at her song, Dumb and Poetic, which is one of my favorite songs on Short and Sweet. Matter of fact, let's take a look at some of these lyrics. She begins this song saying, "You're so dumb and poetic. It's just what I fall for. I like the aesthetic. Every self-help book, you've already read it. cherry pick lines like they're words you invented. That's how she opens up the song, right? Basically making fun of all these men, and we've all met men like this, who are so tied into self-help and meditation and, I'm doing the work, I'm grounded, I'm blah, blah, blah. But in reality, they're self-centered, they're narcissists, they just like sounding smart. And really, they sound kind of dumb, but they're quoting poetry, so they feel like they're intellectual. We've all met this kind of man, right? And the song continues from there. There's a lot of lyrics like that on the album that's really just sort of like uncovering the way men think so highly of themselves and saying, I don't know why. That's a lot of the album. And now if we look at what she's given us with Man-Child, I feel like we're getting more of the same. This is the second verse in Man-Child. Sabrina says, "Why so sexy if so dumb? And how survive the earth so long? If I'm not there, it won't get done. I choose to blame your mom." Okay. Like, this is just so clearly a farcical and somewhat like hysterical look at how dumb men are. And again, this is a recurring theme in her music. Men are dumb. They are slow. They are annoying. They are frustrating. They don't know how to get anything done, including a woman's pleasure. I mean, this is a theme in her music. So do I think her primary audience that she is focused on is men just because she chooses to put on a sexy outfit? No. In fact, a lot of straight men don't even know how to appreciate a sexy outfit, okay? They're not even looking at the right things. They're not even appreciating the time and the effort it takes to get into that outfit. They're not appreciating the pin curls and everything else because Sabrina's hair is done. I've had this conversation over on TikTok around white women and whether their hair is done or not. Sabrina's hair is done. It's always done as far as I'm concerned. And they don't even appreciate it. They don't appreciate the look of the makeup, how long the makeup is taking, how it's coordinating, how hard it is to walk in some of those shoes she puts on. To me, it seems pretty clear. A lot of this she's doing for the girls. Is she also doing it for the men? Yes. I'm not saying she's not, but I think a lot of it is being done for the girls because we're the ones who are appreciating it. Okay. So I just feel like as it relates to this whole discourse around Sabrina and the male gaze and her objectification and setting feminists backwards, I disagree. I don't think she's setting feminists backwards. And I don't think it's a bad thing to be aware of and to pander to the male gaze or the female gaze or anybody else's gaze when you have albums to sell and tours tickets to sell. She exists in pop culture. She exists in mainstream culture. She is putting out an image that not only are people probably going to be attracted to, but an image that is certainly going to spark discussion. And she's a smart girl and she knows that. And what are we all doing right now? Talking about her, which she knew would happen. So to me, it gives smart, not pick me. So that's what I have to say about that. As it relates to the music, which to me is always the more interesting conversation, I will just say the first time I heard Man-Child, didn't love it. It just felt like a continuation of what we got on Short and Sweet. It sort of felt like, oh, the next Please, Please, Please. But having listened to it a few more times, and I listened to it again before I sat down to record this, it is growing on me. And this is one thing I will say about Sabrina Carpenter. There's something about how much fun it feels like she's having when she is making her music, when she is singing her songs. That fun is contagious. It really is. There are people in the music industry whose music just quite simply does not feel fun. You know who I might name? And don't be mad at me, Billie Eilish. I don't get fun from most of Billie's songs, and that's okay. By the way, not everything needs to give fun. I didn't really get fun from Cowboy Carter, and it was my favorite album of 2024, okay? Were there some fun moments? Sure. But for the most part, fun is not a word I would use to describe that album, and I loved it. So this is not shade. I'm simply saying there is a lot of fun infused into Sabrina's music, and I think that fun is contagious, it's infectious. And so even a song that for me I didn't immediately connect to each time I hear it, does it sort of like itch a different part where I'm like, you know what? I mean, it is the summertime. I mean, I am having a cookout. This might be a nice little jam to play at the cookout. I could see myself bopping to, you know what I'm saying? Like it just kind of, it has grown on me, and her music has a way of doing that. And she did release it just in time for the summer. I mean, the girls need to dance. The girls need to dance. Okay. It's warm outside. We live in a hellscape. Every single piece of news that you read is worse than the last piece of news you read. So do we deserve a summer bop? I think we do. And I think Sabrina is doing her damnedest to deliver on that. And I'm not mad at that. So while I didn't love the song at first, it really has started to grow on me. And again, part of the fun of her music are these lyrics that really do just make fun of these men. And it's satisfying to me. It is satisfying to me because I think most men deserve to be made fun of. Not all, but most. And so I like that. And I think the song is catchy. And does it feel like it's living very much within the realm of what she delivered on Short and Sweet? Yes, it does. It is right now, at least, making me feel like this is going to sort of feel like a continuation of that album. And I'm not like necessarily opposed to that. I will say, look, again, I say this a lot. I've been raised on Beyonce. I've been raised in the school of Beyonce. I'm used to every album we're getting something brand new. She's pushing herself forward. She's pushing music forward. Right now, am I getting the sense that that's what's going to happen on this album? No. But not everybody can do that, and not everybody wants to do that. You know, I think Short and Sweet was so successful. It would make sense if Sabrina was like, you know what? I'm going to run it back. New songs, new lyrics, same vibe. That would make sense. And that's okay. That's okay because I don't think we have so much of that right now. Like we're so saturated with fun, smart, sexy, satirical pop, right? I would call her genre sexy satire. I think that's what I would call it. And it's not as if we have so much of that right now that we're oversaturated that we can't use another album like that. I think we can. And that's right now what it's giving. Now we'll see once it actually comes out if that is the vibe, but certainly that's what this first single is giving. And I'm not mad at that. I am enjoying it more and more. I do think it's a nice summer bop. I am looking forward to see what else we get when the album drops in August. And ultimately, when it comes to Sabrina Carpenter, I think she's very smart. I think she is very sexy. I think she is pandering to the audience, which is what you've got to do when you're a pop star. I don't think that that's a problem. I certainly don't think she is setting feminism back. I don't know. I don't see how someone claiming her own sexuality can set feminism back. We want to talk about setting back feminism. Let's talk about Roe v. Wade being overturned. Let's talk about that, not this. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a Sabrina fan. This song really is growing on me, and I'm excited to see what she brings us in August. But that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.